That's right, baby. I think I like reading, but I don't think this was a very good book. I read this book, and I wanted to talk about it because this book is actually kind of insane. 3 moons? 4 moons. They have 4 moons. Even though I think earlier on they only had 3. Or only 3 are named. This book is a mess. Hold on. Let me just try to get through the plot synopsis. Exhausting. I find it exhausting. I think it's fucking awful. That's really weird. I like that. They're just pairing in this weird, delicious little way that makes me go, I don't like the flavor of that. I don't like that one bit. I don't think I need to explain why that's bad, right? Like, I don't need to explain that you shouldn't. What are you talking about, Ro? Why is this what's on your mind? The world is dying. You have 2 hot men that you want desperately. Why do you care about how androgynous these people are? Do you have a book that you read when you were a teenager that made you go, wow, I really like reading? I do. And it's not because that book was fantastic. It was a book that I read and I said to myself, wow, that was really mediocre. I bet there are other better books out there. So today, I wanted to talk about the book that I read that made me think that there were other better books out there, which is Zodiac by Romina Russell. As I have just described my history with this book, I do genuinely remember reading it as a teenager and saying to myself, wow, I don't think that was very good. Much like the first time I watched Strange Magic, I walked out of the theater and I said, wow, that was kind of a bad movie, wasn't it? It's kind of how I felt with this book. And I just really wanted to talk about it because I just reread it the other day. And there's some crazy shit happening in this book. So I'm going to do my best to give you a decent and thorough description of all of the events that happened in this book. It is not super long. It is only about 300 some pages. Let's get into it. I'm going to be putting up little drawings that I make of each of the characters as I talk about them. Only the main characters, there's only like 3 or 5 of them. Some of them will not be getting drawings because they're not described very well. And also are not that important. So, let me get started. We start with a prologue. And in this prologue, it is the memory of Ro, our main character, going fishing or narclamming with her family on their planet, Cancer. Which, yes, like the crab, like the Zodiac. This book is called Zodiac. Let's remember this remember this going forward, please. Because I'm going to be saying the word Cancer a lot. And I mean the Zodiac sign. So we are narclamming with Ro's family. There's a weird conversation about homeschooling that Ro has with her mother, where Ro doesn't want to go back to homeschooling because she likes being around other kids her age, and Ro's mom is worried that she is getting fueled into the propaganda machine. We'll get into that later. They are attacked by a deadly snake. Ro's brother almost dies, and then we are brought back into present day where Ro is a student at a school she is part of a band. She is not allowed to go to this big ceremony for the alignment of the 4 moons of Cancer, and so her and her friends are throwing a party themselves because they have a band called Drowning Diamonds. I remembered it. So her band, Drowning Diamonds, are doing this whole show, and as they are doing this show, Ro has been having these visions of the moons, like, flickering out and disappearing in this space called the Ephemeris, which is a, like, star map that you can, like, explore the galaxy using your mind and when you are, like, tapped into the Ephemeris. There's a lot of weird shit happening in this, but we'll talk more about that when it becomes more important. So Ro, when she is in the Ephemeris, which is something they do in class, she doesn't do, like, the arithmetic portion of stuff, she literally just intuitively is able to explore the stars, and she sees this coming darkness, essentially. She sees a tragedy coming, and she tries to help people, but she's told, like, her math is wrong. Like, she's not showing her work. Her math is wrong. So, okay, she does her show. As she's doing her show, one of the moons blows up. Basically everyone except for her and her 3 friends who are in the band, like, die instantly. And they are rescued by Matthias Theus. Yes, his name is Matthias Theus, and I will be saying that a lot because he is our first love interest. He is a 22-year-old man. I should say, by the way, Ro is 16. He is a 22-year-old man that Ro has, like, vaguely seen since she was, like, first started school. And she liked to be around him because he would practice something called Yarrow. Or, I'm saying it as Yarrow. It's like Yarot. It's like tarot with a Y at the start, but it's basically yoga. Basically, he would practice yoga, and she was really really comforted by seeing someone do yoga because her mom used to do yoga, is essentially what happened. And so they would, like, spend time in each other's vicinity, but never speak. Anyway, Matthias Theus saves them. All of them hang out, and they just hang out on this ship for a while until Ro is taken, and she is told, basically, ton of people died. Like, literally, like, 2 million or something? Or out of, like, out of a huge amount of people, like, a couple hundred are left. It's insane. Like, genuinely insane. And she is thrust into the position of guardian of these planets, or of the planet Cancer, because the original guardian died during the mysterious explosion. Ro knows that the explosion was an attack, and she believes that this attack comes from a fairy tale character called Ophiuchus, who was the 13th Zodiac sign, who her mother, who ran away, frequently told her about before disappearing. So, Ro is now the guardian of the planet. Yay, she's 16. So we have a 16-year-old girl thrust into this position of power that she does not belong in. Just simply does not belong here. She is exceedingly stubborn. She is very annoying. She basically will not listen when the guardians or the people who... Not the guardians. Her, like, advisors. She basically doesn't listen to her advisors because she's like, they're all mean to me. And it's like, yeah, girl, you're 16. And you just got chosen to be the next leader of this planet because you have good intuition, I guess. During the ceremony in which she is crowned, she drinks salt water, which I did need to bring up because I thought that was insane. They literally make her drink a cup of salt water. Anyway, she drinks her salt water. She notices a man in the crowd. And this man is like this beautiful blonde guy. It's like blonde hair with white streaks. And his name is Hyson Dax. Enter our second love interest. So, Hyson Dax approaches her. He's very charming. He smirks. He's the guy who smirks, you know. Matthias Theus, he's very serious. He is her main protector. So, you know, like, her main guardian. Hyson is like the suave, cool guy, you know? Listen, I don't really know how to get into it. We'll get more into Hyson and Matthias later. So, the ceremony happens. Ro is basically just trying to assert her dominance at this point and say, hey, I'm the leader of the Cancer planet. And she does, like, training with both the Ephemeris, which is the star map system, and then something called the Psi Network, which is essentially like brain internet. So you get this ring. You get like a magic ring. And when you get the magic ring, you touch it. And you are able to like enter your mind. You enter your mind into the Psi network. And when you're in the Psi network, you can either decide to connect with one person, or you can send a message out into the, like, everything. And anybody who's connected to the Psi network can see it and, like, respond to you. So she basically, immediately after getting access to the Psi, uses it to Reddit ask a question, does anybody know who Ophiuchus is? And she basically receives a bunch of information that says every single Zodiac has a version of the tale of Ophiuchus, and yeah, you know? That's what it is. She sends out a Reddit message, and Ophiuchus hears it, and he's like, this little motherfucker. And he shows up, and he attacks her in the Psi network. Of course. That's what internet trolls are gonna do, right? Sorry, that was stupid. But that is literally what happens. It makes me crazy. She then freaks out and realizes that Gemini, she goes into the ephemeris also and sees dark matter over Gemini and Virgo, and it's like, there are going to be tragedies that affect these two planets. We need to go warn them. And everybody's like, that's a terrible idea. Our planet just got absolutely shredded. You need to stay here. And she's like, actually, I'm 16 and I will not be listening to any of you. Matthias and I are going on this journey. Or she's going to go alone, but Matthias is like, you're still in training. I'm going to go with you, and also I'm 6 years older than you, and I'm absolutely mature enough to do this. 22. He's 22. Let's keep that in mind. He is 22. Anyway, they find a ship that is super fast, and they're like, we're gonna take this ship, we are commandeering it, and we will be going to Virgo as quickly as possible. And so they get in this ship, and they are going, and then they discover that there is somebody else on this ship. Who is it? Hyson Dax. Of course it's Hyson Dax. They took Hyson Dax's ship because it's super fast, because he made it super fast, because he's super cool. And immediately, Hyson and Matthias start beefing. Just like, immediately. It is ridiculous. It is annoying. It is comical. It is not sexy. So Matthias and Hyson just absolutely hate each other. Ro is having her 16-year-old sexual awakening where she's like, oh man, I actually think both of these guys are really hot. And it's like, good for you, girl. I don't like any of you. I like Hyson. And I will actually stand by that. I think that Hyson is a fun character. I don't like anybody else. Anyway. We're on this space journey. We go to the planet, I believe we go to I think we go to Gemini first. Yes, we go to Gemini first. And we go to Gemini, and when we are on Gemini, we pick up the character Cassium? Cassium? There's Rubium? Rubidium? Okay, so their names are Rubidium, and Cassium. Or Cassium? They're the twins. They are the rulers of the Gemini planet. They pick up Cassium, and they take him with them because he wants to go on this journey. He's evil, and he's very plainly and blatantly plotting something. They are on the ship going to Libra after this, and straight up, this guy, is like, hey, I was reading the stars, Ro, and, it told me somebody's gonna betray you. Isn't that crazy? Ugh. You should be really careful. Someone's gonna betray you. And she's like, oh my god, is it Hyson or is it Matthias? Girl, it's him. Girl, it's Cassium. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm sorry. The Gemini planet's insane. I don't want to. No, I will get into it. The Gemini planet's insane. They are there, and there's two planets, of course. And the first planet is full of people who just invent shit for the fact that they like love to be inventive and creative, and they are like, everybody has augmented their bodies to be like children again, and they live for like 300 years, right? So they have like fully augmented their bodies to be like children again. Cassium looks like a little boy. Rubidium looks like a little boy. Crazy shit. There's a second planet where everybody is a miner and there's mines. They just like mine stuff all the time. And it's like horrible living conditions, and yeah, it's crazy. The Gemini thing is like really wild to me. But anyway, we are only there for like maybe 2 chapters, chapter and a half, before we leave and we head to Libra. And when we get to Libra is all based off of like court systems, and when you go places you have to do like weird little court systems. And we meet the ruler of Libra, who is Lord Neath. So we meet with Lord Neath, the ruler of the planet, and pretty much half a chapter later, it is revealed that Lord Neath is an android that Hyson made. And Hyson is the actual guardian. And that introduces the subplot that she, as in Ro, is forbidden to be with him because 2 guardians can't be together. Which first off, I don't mean to say anything. I don't quite understand. I don't understand why that's a rule. Like, I will not get off topic right now. So they're forbidden to be together, and Ro is like heartbroken, right? Like she's like kind of obsessed with Hyson, and she's kind of obsessed with Matthias, and so that is like her driving factor right now, is she's like, it's forbidden. Whatever. I guess I didn't like him that much anyway. And then throughout this, Matthias has been witnessing Hyson and Ro kind of flirting, and has been really off put by it, and been like, Ro, you can't flirt with this guy. It's forbidden. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm not really that interested. From there, we learn very little, I will not lie. We go from Libra to Virgo, and on Virgo, there is a terrible tragedy while they are there, and the guardian dies, basically in Ro's arms. I don't think Ro is injured. Ro is injured a little bit. Hyson almost dies. He gets a cut in his leg and almost bleeds out. And Ro has to make like a old school tourniquet, which I was like, interesting. This feels very weird. We're in space and you're making the space tourniquet. But it's okay because they put him in the healing pod back on the ship. During this horrible tragedy, we discover that Cassium is evil, and he was literally plotting the whole time to steal the opal ephemeris star map that Ro was given when she became guardian. He steals it, he dips. He just straight up leaves. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so betrayed. He betrayed me. Yeah, he told you he was going to. He like literally told you he was going to. Anyway, they leave this planet. There is a lot of weird political stuff they have to do, because I believe they go to Aries right after this, and they try to convince the people in something called the Plenum, I believe, that they... Basically, Ro has to convince people that there is something really terrible happening. And she is so insistent on telling everyone that the terrible thing is Ophiuchus. Right? So she has been having these visions of dark matter that will, like, cloud a planet. And that's how she knows that something bad's going to happen there. She has learned that Ophiuchus can manipulate dark matter. And that is kind of how she is seeing the dark matter in the different locations where Ophiuchus is attacking. So she is able to say, oh, I saw dark matter over here. Ophiuchus is going to attack there. And instead of listening to Matthias, who, frankly, is being quite reasonable and quite kind to her when he says this, he and her have a conversation while they are in the diplomatic, like, oh, what do you call those places? The embassy. It's like basically an embassy. And they are there, and he's like, hey, when we go to the plenum, can you not mention Ophiuchus? Because people are not going to be receptive to it. Like, can you just tell them something is manipulating dark matter? And she's like, are you telling me to lie? Yeah, girl. Just a little bit. You're not being untruthful. Something is manipulating it. You just don't... Because she also, I do want to say, she does, like, know, and we know as the, like, readers that Ophiuchus is the thing influencing this, but she doesn't... I'm gonna be so real. She's told multiple times that things can be manipulated in the Psy to not be what they seem. And if I was told that, and I was seeing an eldritch, endless, timeless, unkillable thing in the Psy, I would probably assume that somebody is manipulating it, right? Like, I would make the assumption, oh, somebody's manipulating this to look like Ophiuchus. If I was insisting that it has to be Ophiuchus, I would probably mention this. I'd probably be reasonable. But because Ro is unbearable and unreasonable, she freaks out. She just freaks out on Matthias. And it's like, I'm not gonna lie. I have to tell them that it's Ophiuchus. And he's like, God damn it. Okay. Anyway, she ends up making a fool of herself. She is being targeted by, like, an assassin group. There is so much crazy shit happening at this point. But then, after she tells them that something is going to happen on Gemini, something happens on Gemini. Gemini's first planet, the one with all the little children people, it blows up. It's just decimated. Their capital city is destroyed, and everybody is living on the mining planet now, including a bunch of people from the Cancer moons, because they also have been devastated and Ro has not been around to help them, so they all just had to move to this Gemini moon because it is the next closest planetary system. So I have so many issues with the lore, but I won't get into that quite yet. Because I'm not done with the story. Because after the Gemini moon gets blown up, Rubidium comes back and says, my brother has been killed. Cassium, you know, the one who stole the gem, yeah, he's dead now. And she also starts rallying people behind Ro, and Ro's thought that Ophiuchus is the one who is doing all of this. So they have, like, a whole festival to celebrate Ro, and Ro is no longer banned from the military plenum thing because there's also been the revelation that somebody is bribing people and spreading false information. I don't want to get into that quite yet, but basically Ro is given an armada to go to this specific area in space where she believes the 13th constellation is, and to, I don't know, attack him? It seems very unclear to me, and I read this like 2 days ago. Ro goes out into space, and she's there with Matthias, and she's there with Hyson. Right before she is there with Hyson, she gets the information that her father is likely dead, and she, like, shuts down, she freaks out, she starts crying in the shower, and then Hyson is, like, trying to comfort her, and they end up having sex. There's a closed-door sex scene in this book. I remember reading it as a child and being like, whoa! Space condom! Because there is one. And then when they are on the ship and they are, like, getting ready to do stuff, Matthias and Ro, this is, like, maybe 2 chapters later. Like, genuinely, I think it is 2 chapters later after the Hyson-Ro scene. Matthias kisses Ro. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't told him that I'm not, that what I did with Hyson. And it's like, I don't care about this. You guys are going to war. Girl, think about the war. You're doing war right now. Anyway, she goes to do war, and it goes horribly wrong. It was a trap, obviously. And yeah, Matthias dies, supposedly. I don't believe it, but Matthias dies. And Ro is devastated. She tells Hyson that she can't do this with him because she wanted Matthias. And I think that's a horrible decision on her part, but that is personal opinion. And then the book ends. Oh, actually, she is excommunicated. Not excommunicated. That's a religious thing. She is removed from the plenum again because she fell for a trap and a bunch of people died, and they were like, we trusted you and you got a bunch of people killed, so unfortunately you have to leave. And she does, and she goes to the Gemini planet where all of her people are, and she swears on her mother's life that she will get revenge against Ophiuchus, and that is the end of the book. And I definitely breezed through that second half, or that last portion, pretty heavily because it is just a lot of really stupid political drama that doesn't matter. And I didn't bring up, there's certain characters that I just fully didn't bring up because they just are not that important. Like, there's a character named Cyrna who kind of likes Ro, but also kind of hates her. And I just, like, she is, like, working with a group of people who are, like, secretly getting info for Ro when she is banned from the plenum. I didn't talk a lot about Nishiko, but I will talk about Nishiko in my criticisms of this book, which I'm going to be getting into, momentarily. Yeah, this book, it is just kind of very mediocre. Some things I wanted to say first off is I did want to pay this book a couple compliments. And the compliments are that I think a lot of the, like, space technology stuff is actually really interesting. I think that the, like, I'm gonna read this. This is from the first page of the prologue, and this is, like, the thing that I think really pulls me in every time. This is a description. You'll see. The strider was small and shaped like a clamshell half, with rows of buoyancy benches, clam cubbies for nar clams, a holographic navigational screen, and even a diving board that stuck out from the front like a tongue. The vessel's underside was coated with millions of microscopic cilia-like legs that scurried us along the surface of the Cancer Sea. That is a description of, like, a little boat that they are using to go, like, clamming. And all I have to say is, wow, how bizarre. Like, how bizarre. That is so strange. And that really pulls me in every time I read it, because it is one of those things that just sticks out to me where I'm like, whoa, that's cool. That's fun. And I like the ephemeris. I think that's such a cool concept. The idea of a star map that you can, like, interact with and navigate through, just, like, using your, like, mind and your understanding of space is so cool to me as someone who, as a teenager, was, like, really committed to being an astrophysicist. It was something that just, like, I really clicked with. The Psi Network, it's fine. It's not, like, hugely my thing. It's not for me. But the ephemeris, specifically, I am, like, still in love with to this day. Like, I have tried to think of ways to, like, pirate it as a concept because I think it's so cool. And yeah, I was like, there's just, like, little, like, sci-fi aspects here and there that are really interesting. I think the concept that every planet has, like, its own technology that it's really into, so, like, the Gemini being really into the, frankly, physical augmentation portion of, like, science, I think that's really interesting. The Gemini being really into, or not the Gemini, the Libras being really into just, I would say, overall tech development. Like, Hyson is revealed to not have the ability to interact with the ephemeris intuitively. He's very mathematical. So he had to make a whole specialized star map for himself that he could interact with because he can't do it intuitively like Ro can. So interesting. Like, genuinely, really cool, really interesting stuff. I think that it's really incredible the way that each planet is, like, kind of set up. There's a lot of things outside of that I don't understand. Like, we are told that they are from the Cancer constellation, but that's not how constellations work. Like, constellations are on a... They're from the Cancer constellation, but they all circle the same sun, which is Helios. And that makes me go, what? And so I'm wondering, like, if this is a post-Earth society, right? If perhaps the planets that everybody is living on are just the planets from, like, maybe they're just in the solar system still. I don't know. I did not read past book 1 in the series. I will say there are 4 books in the series, and I'm so scared of them because the writing in this book is just not very good, or it's not my style. Like, there's nothing truly super wrong with it. I don't like the way that there's multiple times in this book where they describe a group of 2 men as the guys. And it's so modern casual to me that I'm like, what? That's so weird. Like, it's just such a weird vibe to me. As well as there's some other, like, choices that are made in descriptions of characters, specifically in the description of the character Nishiko, that make me deeply uncomfortable. Like, I just feel like she should not have been described like that. And yeah, I was like, that's, like, my first, like, little gripe, is that I'm just, like, not into the writing style. Oh, also, the other thing about the writing style that drove me crazy is that I feel like every time Matthias spoke, his voice was described as a baritone. Like, I swear they had to have used the word baritone for Matthias's voice upwards of 10 times. Like, genuinely. It was, like, a lot. And it was making my brain go numb. And I think they also used the word husky to describe Heisen's voice a lot. And I don't know. It was just, like, little things like that that made me go, oh. But some other issues that I had in this book is there was, like, a weird layer of, like, homeschool, like, pro-homeschooling stuff in here. So, one of my little tabs in here, let's get a look at it. This is also from the prologue, and I'll pull another one out that really, really makes me think of, like, homeschooling as someone who was homeschooled. This one is, my mom's brow dipped. You mean all healthy hearts start with a happy home? Row, you know better than that. In our lessons, I've taught you about great individuals who come from broken homes, like Galileo Sprock of Scorpio, who developed the first holograms centuries ago, or renowned pacifist Lord Vaz, House Libra's revered guardian. She looked hurt. If you're going to let your teachers brainwash you, then maybe you're not ready for school. And that one just, like, wears it on the tin. Like, that one says it right there at the end. That is, like, something that I feel like I have heard a lot from different homeschool communities, that, like, going to public school will brainwash you. Going to public school didn't brainwash me. It actually made me more intuitive and made me smarter. Because I was actually learning things. That one is one that I specifically flagged as being very homeschooled, and this one is much later in the book, but it really radiates the I was homeschooled vibe that kind of off-put me from this book. So this features both Hyson and Ro talking. So we start with Hyson, and he says, and before you make excuses for them, he says, you should see the miners who pay for all this. Only the richest people can afford youth and imagination. The rest of the population ages and dies like the rest of us, and they spend their lives in the mines, unearthing the minerals that keep the rich rich. It's sick. Hyson's right, but for a Libran, he's not being entirely fair. My mom's lessons taught me that mining is the highest paid work on Gemini, so the mines are mostly filled with people who want to one day retire to this city and live like children again. There's a separate settlement in the caves of Gemini's other planet that's filled with people who aren't seeking inhumanly long life. They're just normal people who use their imaginations to build incredible cities within the rock. And what can I just say, except for Tyson forever, baby. He's so right. Anyway, it just strikes me as one of those things that I would have been taught in, like, homeschooling, that, like, oh, people who do, like, people who do work like working in mines or working in oil fields are doing it because they want to get rich. But the labor is so intensive that a lot of them are, like, aging their bodies really quickly and dying very young, and, like, there's a lot of aspects there that Roe is not taking into account that really strikes me as something that I might have said when I was homeschooled. And I just wanted to bring that up because the way that homeschooling feels very pro homeschooling in this book. And as someone who was homeschooled, I don't necessarily think it is a bad thing when done correctly, but I don't think that it's necessarily better than school, like public school, either. I just think that there are issues with both that we should learn how to fix, that we should learn how to incorporate both, or a system that makes use of both things. Anyway, this is not the horse that I want to die on right now. So the pro homeschooling in this was very bizarre. I do need to get into another issue that I had, which is specifically the description of the character Nishiko, which I believe I mentioned briefly earlier. So this is her first description, or the physical description. As a Sagittarian, Nishi doesn't share our Cancerian curls and light eyes. Her locks are straight and black, her skin is a creamy cinnamon, and her eyes are amber and slanted. Add a sultry singing voice to her exotic beauty, and she's pretty much stolen every Cancerian guy's heart at the academy. And it just makes me think of the classic, like, Asian manic pixie dream girl stereotype from, like, 2014, which is when this book came out. And I do not like it. I do not like it at all. I read this book when I was 14 or 15. I read it before the second book in the series had even come out, so that was probably 2014. I don't like that description at all. Nishiko is also the only character who I remember being described as being sexy, at least once throughout this book. Very unsettling to me. Very weird, very, very uncomfortable. Like, beyond just, like, general writing issues, there are some things in this that I do find, like, genuinely troubling. There is a description in here, and I'm not gonna read it because it's hard to explain, but there is a portion where they are writing about a, like, slum area, and it is done in a very, very, I would say in a way that I felt kind of implied that people in slums were, like, it describes the people in the slums as sharpening knives, and I felt like it was a description in order to convince people that, like, oh, the people in the slums are doing, like, bad things. They're doing these really, these scary crime stuff. And it's like, I just read 100 Shadows, so reading this description, all I could think was maybe they call them slums because if they called them people's homes and people's livelihoods, it would be awkward when they tried to tear them down. And that's, like, literally all I could think of when they were going into this description of this area. And again, it just makes me think about how perhaps there's a non-understanding about the failure of systems for the people, rather than the slums being an indication that the people, like, deserve to be there. Right? Like, yeah, listen, you get it. There's an unflattering description of poor people in this book. Ro, throughout the book, is honestly not a very good person. I would not put her on Feyre levels of selfishness, but she gets to some very interesting levels of ignorance, I would say. A lot of it, I was trying to describe to my significant other the, like, plight that she has throughout this book, where she wants to tell everyone that it's Ophiuchus. And I was like, okay, so what if I became, like, a political figure, and because I knew that the evil queen from Snow White, the fairy tale, was real, and she was using, like, speaker systems to, like, sonic blast places and just, like, level them. Like, if I was in this position, and I know I'm like a 20 something year old, I can't remember how old I am right now, that's bad. I know I'm much older than Ro. I'm fucking much older than Matthias. Like, I still, when I was a teenager, was so frustrated with Ro and her behavior, because I was like, just, like, admit that detail. That's not lying. It's admitting a detail because you need people to believe you. You are putting people's lives at risk because you are so insistent on making sure that they know that it's, like, Ophiuchus, when that's not important. The important thing is to say, hey, something is interfering with the Psi network, and it is going to try to harm us. I don't, like, if people are like, what is it? Just be like, I am not sure yet. I know what I believe, but it's going to sound crazy, so I don't want to say. Like, there are so many things that you could say. Honestly, there's so much that you could say that could convince people. Anyway, this book has issues, and it is not a very good book. It was a very breezy read as an adult. I read it in a couple hours, but my oh my, it was not a good book. Yeah, so that's Zodiac by Romina Russell, and my description of it and my issues with it. I don't want to keep talking about it because I will go on forever. I will literally talk forever about how much I hate this book, and nobody wants that. I've been here recording this for probably an hour. I had to start over because I was so off the walls when I first did it, but this book has a lot of issues. I cannot recommend it to anyone. I don't recommend it getting it for your teenagers. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but it does have weird homeschool propaganda, which is what I think is wrong with it. Yeah, anyway, Hyson forever. I can't believe she breaks up with his ass because Matthias dies. Anyway, thank you so much for watching if you are still here. And if you thought this was fun, if you want me to read any more books in this series, let me know. Because I will cave and I will read the next book in this series as a fun little breezy read. But yeah, that is it for me. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to stay off-putting and stay obscene.